What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Scratch Agency podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. My name is Stephen Turnbull, founder of T5 Insurance Services in Clinton, New York, joined by my co-host, the one and only, you already know, Mr. Sean Fitzgerald, founder of LAF Advisors in Long Island, New York. Sean, what's going on today, sir?
We got a whole bunch going on, man. Working on a new niche. Building that whole process out right now, working on hiring a appointment setter to help build out that niche, and just excited to get to meet and talk to Kenny.
Beautiful. It's getting a little chillier up here in upstate New York, Sean. I don't know about you down there. We're starting to feel that fall weather moving on in.
Yeah, we're getting a nice breeze the last couple of days.
I'm sure. Well, I'm super excited for our next guest as well. And we talked a little bit before we started recording. I love these type of guests because past what I looked at, the research that I've done, I don't know much. And what I see, I absolutely love. And I'm super excited to introduce him to all of our listeners today. Everybody help me welcome Kenny J on the podcast, the insurance guru. Kenny is the CEO at Remedy Insurance and Wealth Builders and host of Kenny J TV. Kenny, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So let's just go right back to the beginning. Kind of where did it all start with things related to insurance, the career in insurance, and then I got so much stuff I want to get into the Kenny TV stuff. I saw something about coverage and cocktails. I want to get into all that, but let's just not get too excited here and back up a little bit. Introduce yourself to the listeners, and then we can move our way into all the specifics.
Yeah, so what's up, everyone? My name is Kenny J. Last name is Jones, but Kenny J just sounds cooler, so I'll go by that. I started in insurance in 2020 in the midst of a pandemic. I was with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I was in like the management trainee program. I was promoted all the way up to an assistant manager, and it was getting very political, and I know I had to like leave. And then the pandemic came and it gave me an opportunity to leave and kind of do my own thing. I wanted to be in a career where I could help people, but it also was a very niche career, and insurance kept coming up. So then I ended up taking the exam, passing everything. And then I got a job with State Farm. Before I went to State Farm, I did a post on LinkedIn, and I said, going to State Farm, super excited for the new career change. Can't wait to see what it brings me. And it got over 300,000 hits. So literally my first day on the job, my old agency owners pulling me out saying, thank you. And I'm like, for what? And she was like, all these referrals we're getting from all over the country. And that's when it clicked in my head how powerful social media was. And I could leave here and do this 10 times better. So instead of staying for like 2 years like I planned, I stayed for maybe 5 months, left, and then went all in on my own agency. And that was 2.5, almost 3 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. Talk about the power of social media right there.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah. So what drew you to insurance? Did you have a mentor or somebody that recommended it to you? Like, how did you stumble across the industry?
I know a few people in the industry, and I know a lot of younger people aren't in it, and I know a lot of minority people aren't in it as well, but everyone has insurance. And people always ask me, what is it like selling insurance? And I said, imagine selling someone something everyone needs. So, everybody's a client to me. So it's not really like niche down where I can only ask like people that are buying homes or, anybody that is breathing pretty much has insurance. And I know how lucrative it was. I know a few millionaires in the industry, and I saw how they got there. And I wanted to kind of do a job where I didn't have to do a lot of physical labor. I could just kind of sit at my desk, on the beach, wherever, and kind of get the job done.
Kenny, I've now talked to you for about 3 minutes. I've followed your YouTube stuff for the last couple of months. And one of the things that is inspiring to me is your level of confidence. And
thank you.
Just in the videos that you do on YouTube and all of those different things. And I want to transition that comment into the level of confidence of starting your own agency with only 5 months of experience in the industry itself. Talk to us a lot about that, because there's a lot that I had 6.5 years at my prior agency of experience before I went on my own. And I don't feel that was enough. And I know people that have done 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, but 5 months, and you're like, 10. I know, in 10, 5 months, I know I can do this, and I know I can do it better, and jumping ahead first. I mean, let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like the reason why people fail in the industry is because they don't get in front of enough people. That wasn't a problem for me. I had a big platform from day one. I marketed myself as an insurance professional, not a State Farm team member or whatever, as an insurance professional. So when I transitioned to my own agency, it wasn't hard for me to market it. And I had people from day one in my warm market, people I went to college with, that were waiting for insurance. So I never really had a slow season because of YouTube, because of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the different channels that I use to network. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm all
Kenny, yeah, now how, I'm just curious because, you know, Steven does a lot of content. I'm pretty inconsistent with my content, but I do it every once in a while. What from building that personal brand within the insurance space, how strategic were you with it? Was it just like on a whim, like, oh, I'm just going to take a video, post it? Or were you like very strategic? You had a written plan, like I'm going to do 3 posts a week. Like, what did that whole process look like? I'm curious to hear your side of that.
Yeah, very strategic. It was never written down, but I feel like everything's in my head. So like even now when I post, I always post me like closing deals on my Instagram story, and people may think, oh, he wants to show us that he's working or whatever. But every time I post that, it's constantly reminding people in a tasteful way of what I do. And I get a lot of leads from that. So I was posting my story. I posted when my business cards came in, when I got my business like debit card or opening my business account, and just took people along that journey, because people don't want to see an Instagram page full of flyers, buy insurance, buy insurance. They want to know the story and the brand behind that. And that's what I like pride myself on, is showing them more of a lifestyle approach to the insurance world, which is why I do a lot of day in the life videos on Instagram and YouTube, because people enjoy that. Even if I'm not in insurance, I can still enjoy, you know, what you do from day to day, because it's not all insurance. So I want to just show how like multifaceted I am on social media.
I love the day in the life stuff. Keep those coming. I've been watching them. I think that's fantastic. One thing I'm curious your thoughts are.
I think people are curious too.
Oh, for sure.
You know, people are just curious and nosy. They want to know what's going on.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. You know, one thing that I'm curious on, and I hear a couple people kind of talk about this when it comes to personal brand, you just putting yourself out there, right? And the day in the life thing's a perfect example. Some of the things that I you know, hear from different, you know, professionals in my local area, whatever, as well, I don't want to come across cocky, right? And to your point, when you're posting that you're selling deals, talk to us about the difference in your mind of confident versus cocky, right? And how you portray yourself different. Because like I said, I don't know you that much. I've watched your videos, and the confidence is what came out to me immediately. You know, so talk to us about that confidence versus cocky, you know, not debate, but discussion.
Yeah, I feel like people that say people are cocky are usually kind of jealous, in my opinion. I know what I do. I know that I do a very good job at it, and I have the numbers to prove it. So that's just what I present myself as. I'm never going to say I'm better than anyone else. And I never put myself on a pedestal. You know, even when people book calls with me and have questions, it's never going to be a dumb question, because I was once in your shoes and I know what it's like. And my biggest thing is to like reach back and pull people up with me. And I feel like maybe cocky people are the ones that are just, I'm better than everyone, and I'm not going to give you the sauce on how to get here because I don't want you at my level. But, you know, at the top, it's just collaboration. At the bottom is competition. So I just want to get as many people to the top with me as possible.
Yeah. And I think with the confidence, Kenny, I think part of it is not worrying about what other people are thinking. You know what I mean?
Bingo. 100%.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm past that. Yeah, I had to let that go. Yeah.
I think that's, I mean, I personally think that's everything. Whenever I find myself slowing down with content, I'm like, why am I really slowing down? Am I busy? Or is there someone out there I'm kind of like, ooh, if they see this, I might feel a certain way, you know? So it's definitely, I feel like it really is a mental thing too. But to dive a little bit deeper into this, most of our audience are newer agents, like scratch agents. What do you think is like an effective way to build their personal brand? Like, what would you recommend? Like, where should somebody start, do you think?
Just being consistent, and then like laying out the foundation of like your brand colors. What image do you want to portray and things like
Yeah.
that. Like for me, for example, I started out just, oh, buy insurance. Like I was posting, but I didn't really have like the foundation. Then I noticed I wanted my brand to kind of look like a mix of Nike and Vogue, more higher end type of thing. And then once I laid that foundation, everything else kind of built off that. And that's the type of clients that I attracted as well. I think you should definitely base your brand on what type of clientele. Because at first I was getting, the smaller premiums and things like that. Now I have clients that are famous, Grammy Award winning, things like that. But that's how I marketed myself even at these networking events. Like I have two name tags, and one says insurance broker and the other one says luxury insurance broker. It just depends on where I go and how to market, and you'd be
Man,
surprised
I
at the
love that.
result. Yeah.
That's good
Thank
stuff
you.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
awesome.
I love
Nike
that.
and Vogue. I like that too. I never thought of it like that, building out the vision of what your content should look like. I mean, Steven and I have kind of talked about like who we're trying to target, and we can kind of build off that. I guess it's kind of similar, but like I never really thought about it that way. Like I feel like that's a simpler way to put it. Like what's a couple brands you really like and trying to build off that? You know what I mean? So you have you have a consistent brand. You know what I mean?
Well, I think
Absolutely.
that goes back to the episode with Ryan Reynolds too, where he talked about how the agency is the brand, right? You're make the agency your product, and I think there's so many people just overthink that when you can just simply, make the agency your product. That's the product that you're selling. Kenny, I was listening to a video a couple days ago. I think one your recent ones where you were talking to newer agents actually, and you talked about networking events. And you said, how just go to them, get there, get in the room. And you talked about one that, and I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but you talked about one that you didn't really want to go to. You were tired or whatever, but you put the suit on and you did, and you made a connection and made $5,000 from that connection, from going to that networking event. For people that, don't do the networking, and want to get into it, but maybe it's scary, right? To get into a room of 100 local business people, you don't know anybody. Talk about that. Talk about how that opportunity would have never happened, and the different things there with networking.
Yeah. So my first celebrity client came from a networking event. So, the lender, he was buying a new house, getting a studio built, like 10 acres of land. I would have never gotten that had I not went to that networking event. So I think that's definitely a big thing. And it's like, if you don't do it, who is? You don't have that big marketing push behind you. So you have to like put your best foot forward and go to these networking events. And a lot of times what I do is I don't go to networking events where insurance agents are going to be. It makes no sense. And I don't even want to have to quote unquote compete. I go to a lot of like real estate network events. So I'll go to like a broker's open, which is really exclusive to real estate agents. Before the house hits the market, you have a whole bunch of real estate professionals coming in, looking at the house, touring it, and seeing who has the best client. Well, I'm there too, because everyone that's going to buy a house needs homeowners insurance. Or I'll go to like different events like that. I went to a cybersecurity event by the FBI. They were hosting it for business owners. And then they were talking about how important that is. And we offer cybersecurity insurance. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity to go and speak about that. So I try to think out of the box with marketing events or networking events, because a lot of times there's going to be 10, 15 insurance agents there. So what am I doing that's setting me apart from everyone else?
I got you. I love that. Steven, this is a good topic. I actually want to ask you, because I know you do a ton of local community networking. So for me, when I first started, it's a story I want to share. Like I started networking, I don't know, at least a few years ago. And I remember I never did it prior, and I never went with anybody. So when I would go to these networking events, like I would go to an event and I literally would know nobody in the room. And it's kind of like, the first couple times you go, it's like, who do I even go up to? What do I say? It's like kind of weird. You don't want to have, like fake conversations. And then after a few times, I feel like every time after that is easier, because you meet someone, you talk with someone, and then you can kind of bring that up in conversation as time goes on. And then for me, like just the most simplest thing I used with people was just like, oh, so what business you were in? And they would tell me about their business. And then I'd be like, I guess the podcaster in me would come out and be like, oh, so how did you get into that business? Can you tell me that backstory? And that was like my breaking the ice moment. But Steven, like because I know you do a ton of networking and you've always done it. What's like a thing? Is there anything you do, or you just know everybody in your community? So you don't have those feelings when you network?
I wouldn't say there's anything specific. I'd like to hear Kenny's thought of this. Before I answer your direct question, this is going to help answer the question. I want to point out two things. One, Kenny said, go where the other people aren't going to be going, right? Think outside the box.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of repeat that because I think that's super important. The other thing is I'm never going to be afraid to go to another networking event because I'm getting my luxury insurance agent name badge made right after this call. I can tell you that much.
There you go.
But after that, my kind of networking story, and I'm curious to hear Kenny's side of this, is when I came into the area as a working person, right? I grew up, born and raised here. I brought myself in everywhere I could be. I went to the Rotary. I went to the Chamber. I helped form the BNI group. I went to all the events that were possibly available. Every room I could get in, I went in. And then after I experienced those for one or two types of meetings, whatever they are, I said, what really works here? And for me, BNI worked really well for getting intentional business. I helped form the group that really worked for me. It still is a huge referral source. Rotary is my kind of outlet where my family was always with Rotary, but now I go to Rotary to give back to the community. And the Chamber is kind of, hey, here I am. If you ever need me, let me know. Here's who I am, but my face is out in public, right? So I kind of created those three silos. As far as going to the networking events, I would say there's no way around the uncomfortable, hey, here's who I am and here's what I do. You just got to do it. I mean, would you agree with me there, Kenny? I don't think there's any rhyme or reason past getting in the room and making your presence known each and every time so that you become relatable, you become familiar with everybody, so that when you walk in the next time, a year down the road, and now you realize these business after hours, you're just spending your time catching up with everybody while you're walking around the room because you know everybody. What's your thoughts there, Kenny?
I mean, definitely want to echo exactly what you said. That's so true. And one networking event I go to pretty regularly, everybody has to get up and introduce themselves. So you get a lot of, hi, I'm Bob from Bob's speech class. Everybody's so serious. And I stand up and I just look around and I'm like, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And then everybody's like, who is this guy? And I start off very chaotic. Then I get into it. And then afterwards, everybody's coming up to me about my business and things like that. But I always want to grab their attention at first, do something that nobody else is doing in there. And then I'm very intentional on networking and speaking to people. I may not speak to everyone, but I want to make a few good, valuable connections. And from that, now I don't really have to go online to look for networking events. I get invited to a lot of exclusive events by the city, by the state. I'm speaking at a regional conference in a few weeks because I was invited through networking. And it's knowing how to make these connections and nurture these connections, go to coffee, take them to lunch, check in on them can really go a long way, because a lot of times people network, I'm going to follow up, and they never hear from them. And you're losing thousands of dollars by simply not just following up with this connection that you made.
Yeah. Kenny, I was going to ask you how you built your book of business right from scratch. Do you think networking was a huge part of that?
Networking and then social media is really how I built it and still am building it, to be honest.
Yeah. So where did most of your leads come from? They come from YouTube, Instagram, a little bit everywhere?
Instagram, and then my warm market. My first 4 months was strictly people from my university, and I went to school with I think 50,000 people. So a lot of them, supported me, and I really appreciated that. Some family, some friends, and then just constantly going out marketing, joining these business owner groups on Facebook and things like that. I was really out there hustling, but now it's to the point where I don't have to call people. I get referrals on a daily basis, or I have clients coming back for new insurance or more insurance and things like that. So, at first I definitely had to go hard, but I knew it was going to be worth it. With insurance, you get out what you put into it.
Totally agree.
So I want to dive more into Remedy, but I want to wrap up the networking conversation with this one point, and I'm curious Kenny's thoughts on this. I've built my personal brand and my business off of the community relationships, the networking groups, all of that. On top of that, and Kenny has done an excellent job doing this, the social media presence is the social proof. You meet Mr. Bob at that networking event and hand him your card. When he gets home, he takes his keys and wallet out of his pocket with your card and looks you up and sees 1,000 or 11,000 people subscribe to your YouTube channel, like Kenny. He sees the active on Instagram, all these things. So it's not networking is the only thing and don't do it. You got the digital, you got all this, but it still provides just that social proof that you're a real person. You're doing this every day. You know what you're talking about. And I think that's where the confidence comes from, the amazing things that you've done in these couple short years with you, Kenny. I mean, what do you think about that with the social proof and kind of that conversation of the balancing the networking with that?
Oh no, for sure. In a big way that I use my social media with networking is when I speak with people. I'll kind of do what you said. Is like ask like, what do you do? How are you doing? And then I always ask them about their social media, because one thing that I'm going to do that no other insurance professional is going to do is going to help you critique your marketing for free. I'm going to do it in 10 minutes, and I'm going to show you how to double your money at no cost. Just send me business. And I've done it before, and I've even had like I networked with a doctor, and he reached out to me. He's like, man, thank you. My business has increased like crazy just by being consistent on social media and you teaching me the things that you did. And now he sends me business, his clients and things like that. So it's like you have to find a way in the insurance industry to provide value, because a lot of times we're the ones on the receiving end, just getting the insurance and writing it for them. But what value are you providing the referral source in the partnership? It should be definitely mutually beneficial for you both.
And that doctor will
Yeah,
never
and Stephen,
go
we
anywhere
just talked
else
about this.
for their insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Stephen, we just talked about this yesterday, that I feel like the social proof, when somebody looks you up, they instantly, if they see you're being consistent and you have a lot of content, you're the expert. You know what I mean? They don't need to test you to see if you're the expert. They just see your stuff and they're like, oh man, Kenny, he knows what he's talking about. And so it's a reputation builder, and it's an experience builder. It's a great tool. But Stephen, I wanted to you wanted to ask Kenny about coverage and cocktails. Let's dive into that before we move on to the next spot.
Yeah. Tell us about that, and then I want to dive into a little bit more about Remedy. But I saw that, I think you posted that maybe just an hour ago or something, and I'm like, coverage and cocktails. I mean, something I would go to. So next time you have one, let me know. I'll be there.
I got you. So it's National Life Insurance Awareness Month. So I ran a campaign this whole month. The theme was protecting your future. So I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, but I had like this futuristic photo shoot in like the all black with like the futuristic glasses and the briefcase. Because nobody, again, in insurance is doing that. I'm trying to think out the box and push the envelope as far as I can. You know what I mean? So that was just one of the events that I had, and I bought, I think, like 50 drinks, first 50 drinks, and had people come out and was teaching them about life insurance. We did like some giveaways, some questions, just having people being super interactive. And I closed 2 deals that night with life insurance. So essentially I made all my money back for the drinks and everything with those 2 life insurance deals. And, I want to continuously be out there in the community. Of course, every event I have, 100 people aren't there, but when Warren Buffett started, 100 people weren't at every one of his events. And I know that if I'm consistent, just how there's a social media algorithm, there's a real life algorithm as well. And I, just keep being consistent, more people are going to hear about it and more people do come. And my events have definitely grown from day one to now. So, I don't always get like tied up in the numbers and things like that, but more so what value am I bringing and what is my ROI from this event?
I love that. That's incredible. So let's jump into Remedy. Tell us about Remedy. Tell us about the team, what you guys, attack, and what kind of looks like today.
Yeah. So Remedy Insurance and Wealth Builders is a full name. It's named after my grandfather's nonprofit. It was Remedy Insurance, or Remedy for Community Needs, and he passed away in 2005, and that was my mom's dad, and really close. So wanted to keep his legacy going on. And so I have about 6 agents under me. They're all life insurance agents, so I don't have anybody on the PNC. And then I have an assistant that does all of my graphics. I'm not an artsy person or anything like that, so I needed someone to be able to kind of deliver what was in my head, but kind of actually make it happen. So like my thumbnails, different posts I make, he's making all of those. And that was my biggest thing, is I wanted my first hire on that side to be somebody in marketing opposed to somebody that is going to be a producer, because I look at my agency as I'm a marketing agency that just happens to sell insurance, not the other way around. You know what I mean? And marketing is pretty much the gas in the car that makes it go. So, without marketing, without having the people to talk to, you're not going to make any money. So my biggest thing every day is how am I marketing? How am I getting out there? How am I reaching more people? And when I reach the people, they reach out and need the insurance, and I don't have to plead my case, like, oh, this is who I am, this is what I know. They see it from the social media. So, continuously marketing is, again, proving myself to be a credible source for their insurance needs. So Remedy has treated me well. I absolutely love it. I have like 6 agents. I have my assistant. I'm looking to hire someone else to do the day-to-day so I can do more on the educational side. I have a mentorship program where I train agents 3-week course and giving them all the resources that I have from day one all the way to now so they can save themselves from a lot of mistakes, a lot of money loss like I did, and kind of just catapult themselves to that next level.
So do you focus on just life insurance?
Kenny, so with that,
Sorry, Sean.
So I do all lines. So I do life, health, PNCs. I do it all.
Okay.
I can't get off the social media stuff. I'm sorry.
Right.
Kenny, talk to me about the assistant. How did you find them? Are they strategically helping you create content, or you're like you said, you're just giving them the ideas, shooting them the content, and then they're piecing it together and posting it? I'm just curious how that whole process works.
Yeah. So
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. So he's a VA. He's in Morocco, and I found him on Fiverr, which is a freelance app. And if you don't know the conversion, I think the conversion is for every $1 over here, it's 10 over there. So it's a pretty good conversion. And he used to own a marketing agency. He's, I think, a little younger than me. He's like 24, 25. And I always have the vision. Like, again, I don't know how to execute it. So we just do a lot of like collaborative efforts to make sure that everything looks really good. But he's been with me for 1.5 years now and has helped me out tremendously. Like I said, marketing is truly the biggest part of social media. And you want your brand to look cohesive. I don't want to post things and it doesn't look up to par, because if it does, I'm not going to post it. And that's why every event I have, like I'm dropping a video tomorrow from the Cocktails and Coverage. I had a professional videographer come in. The pictures I dropped were from my photographer. I don't want to just do anything, because I look at Nike, Vogue, when they market, they're not taking pictures on their phone and posting it on their website or posting on their Instagram. So why would I not do the same just because I'm not as big as them? If I'm trying to get to the level that they are, why would I not go ahead and set myself up now to have that type quality?
So does he work for you full time? The assistant?
Full time. He does full time.
Cool. So you just found him off of Fiverr and you guys just clicked and started working together more and more and then brought him on full time?
Yeah, found him on Fiverr, and then like we kind of went out of Fiverr so I could just pay him directly. And it's been going well. He's like my first point of contact. When you call the agency, he answers the phone. He doesn't do a lot of client facing things, but he does answer the phone and know how to send information for quotes. But more so, I want him on the marketing side, because that's like truly what he's skilled in.
That's awesome.
And Kenny, how do you do you just send him the content and then he pieces and you tell him, hey, this is what I want it to look like? And then he just pieces it together. Cool.
Exactly. I'll usually have like an example, like a mood board or something I'll send him, and I'm like, this is what I want it to look like. And like a lot of time it's gibberish what I'm saying, but he knows what I'm talking about. I don't know how, but he knows what I'm talking about. Every time he'll execute it perfect. If not, we'll get on the phone. When I have like presentations I do or events and I need like a PowerPoint or something, he'll make it flawless, have super company branded, and it's always above my expectation for sure.
Love it. I think, talking about how the social proof before makes you appear like more of an expert and helps you build your reputation, right?
Oh, for sure.
I think it's also a great recruiting tool.
Oh, for sure.
And how much of an impact and be honest, like how much of an impact do you think having a bunch of social media out there helped with recruiting those 6 agents?
Oh, they all came. They all came from YouTube. All of them. I had more that reach out. I mean, they reach out all the time, but it's like you got to be serious, because some people like to come to my agency because of who I am, and I'm not just giving you leads. You know what I mean? I was talking to one of my agents today. She's grinding, so it's like they understand like the importance of really getting out here and doing it. But literally, all the agents reached out to me. I didn't have to do any recruiting, any ads. They all reached out to me from YouTube, booked a call, and said I want to join the team.
So at this point, when you've brought on now 6 agents that have all come to you, which let me just repeat that, because in these groups we see people that are looking for help and we can't find producers and this and that. So let me repeat again, 6 agents that came to him off of his YouTube. What does the process look like now for kind of vetting those people, Kenny? Because I mean, you just said like they got to be serious. What have you found success with of saying, this is going to be a good fit for you or it's not?
When they don't necessarily say I'm in it for the money. If they have a story, a lot of times all of my agents have a story of somebody passing away and they saw the direct benefit of life insurance or not having it and what it did. When you have a story, you're able to hit like pain points and pull heartstrings. But if you're in it, oh, I saw Cody Askins say I can make $100,000 my first 6 months. If that's why you're in it, you got to go do something else, bud. Like that's not going to work because what's going to keep you here when the money doesn't come as fast as you want it to. But if you have a true passion for it and for helping people, you'll go far. Because I know, for me, I love helping people. And I knew that, this is my passion. And if I'm consistent at it, the money will follow. And it did. So.
And now, so are you 100% remote? Do you have a physical location? Is the whole team remote? How does that all work?
They're all remote. I'm 100% remote. I wanted an office at one point, but then I didn't. I just bought a house instead and just made an office in my house. And I just don't really see a need for it. Nobody ever asks where my office is. And, my clientele is usually people between their 20s and 40s in corporate, 6 figures and up. They're not wanting to meet with me for insurance. A lot of times I'll text them information, they'll text me back. We'll get on the phone and close the deal in 5 minutes and that's it. The most I've done is take them out to dinner and close the deal there, but never have they even asked where your office is. I think I do market myself pretty well as a virtual agent, just, showing people you can work from anywhere, the coffee shop, the airport, the beach, wherever you are, you can work, and that's the beauty of working in insurance.
Well, so here's one thing I'm curious in your thoughts of, and just want to see how you have it set up, is with processes and procedures, especially being 100% remote. And I know Sean can add to this because he's in the middle of creating an amazing virtual assistant playbook, he's called it, that he's set up and spent some serious time, and I've been lucky enough to kind of look at it with him. Talk about how important that is for running a virtual team, and maybe some things that you have learned along the way with processes and procedures that can help people that may not have some. And I was listening, shout out to the Insurance Guys podcast. I was listening to their recent episode today, and Scott Howell brought up a good point. Even if Scott or Bradley, one of the two, but even if you don't think you have a procedure, you have a procedure. You have the way of doing something, right? And so why not document it and get everybody rowing the boat in the same direction? What are your thoughts there?
Same. Honestly, everybody has to be doing it the same exact way. So when I first started, I was writing down everything and how I was doing it. And is this the most effective way to do it? And I think I learned a lot of that from State Farm and just seeing, like, no shots taken at all, but just seeing how different people were doing different things. And then when a client would call in, well, they told me this, but no, that's not right. But you don't want to say that to the client, like, oh, well, it's just a lot of confusion. But if everyone is on the same page and there's only one way to do it, like there's only one way to really clap, like that's the only way, and there's no arguing it. So if it's like only one way to take payment or one way to do this, there's never any confusion and it's seamless. So if they talk to me or an agent, the process is going to be the exact same way every time, and document everything. If it's from them going out of town, them having a child, or them filing a claim, whatever it is, you have to document it. Therefore, the next person that picks up the phone, we know exactly what's going on, and you're not having them repeat themselves. Because I hate, for me, if I have to like change a flight or something, I have to call back the next day and they're like, so what happened? Is it not in the notes? Like, did they not even care about what I said? So I just want to make it as easy as possible for my clients when they call, and making an enjoyable experience, Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, Stephen knows my thoughts on this. I mean, I couldn't agree anymore. I just feel like there should be a written response for every situation.
Exactly.
Right? One of, I would say, a mistake that I had when I brought on my agent was, I'd get a lot of, hey, where can I find this? Oh, and then I would point him in one direction. Where can I find that? Point him in another direction. Where can I find that? Point him in another direction. So I had to like house all the data in one place. So that was a big thing. And then just making sure everything is in one area. And anything like what I'm doing now, and I'm still adding and tweaking stuff, is if something comes up and it might be something I've done a few times over, I just make sure I write it down somewhere. And at the end of the day, try to just build out a quick process and procedure for it. Because, I mean, like you said, everyone's going to wind up doing it different. It's going to get documented in AMS the wrong way. One person's going to do it one way. One person's going to do it another way. And if you have an agency where you plan on growing, eventually that stuff is going to get real messy, you know, and I don't want any part of that. So I'm a big process and procedure guy.
Think of exactly what Kenny just said. There's one way to clap. My prior life, we were trying to clap so many different ways. And the problem is it's easier to turn around a kayak than it is a cruise ship. Right. And we talk about that a lot. What an incredible opportunity that we have as scratch agents to build the foundation and build it right. So if it's just you and your scratch agency right now, or if it's just you and your 2 service people or your 6 salespeople, whatever it is, when you get to that 20, 30, 40 people mark, if that's what your goal is, you're going to really hope you had these processes and procedures outlaid when you had 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Because like you said, when that new hire comes, this is the one way to clap. I mean, I love that. That's spot on.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny, I want to, as we look to wrap this up here, I got 3 questions left. Yeah. I'll stop at 3. I could ask about 13 more, but we'll stop at 3. 1, past the normal answer of just getting started and just picking up the camera and doing it. I mean, you've got 11,500 subscribers on YouTube about insurance. I think that's incredible. And I think on one of your videos, you said you've only been doing it for 2 years or so. For people that are just looking in general to get started with content, pick up the camera and do it and just get started and stuff, like what advice do you have for those people that are looking to do that? And then maybe just touch on briefly, if you don't mind, like the success in getting 11,000 plus people to subscribe to your channel in 2 years.
Yeah, so past the point of just picking up and doing it, lay out your content. So I always tell people, like, if you want to start a YouTube channel, that's fine and dandy, but a lot of people fail because, I'm going to drop the first video and then I release it. I always tell people to treat your YouTube channel like a Netflix series. Netflix is not dropping an episode and then recording the next one and dropping it. Record 10 videos and then start dropping them weekly. And while those are dropping and releasing, you should be recording more content. You should always have content in the vault. Don't just drop and then record, drop and record. Something's going to happen. Something's going to come up. It's life. And then you're going to miss a week. If you're just consistent, the algorithm will literally do the rest. I think posting for 2 months before it started catching on. Then my first video got 500 views. Then the next week, 1,000, then 1,500. Now it's at, I think, 97,000 views. So it's like, once you are consistent, the algorithm will see it and they'll keep pushing. Anybody can get monetized if they consistently post 100 videos, 1 a week. Honestly, even before that, I think I was monetized at like 23 videos, but that was once a week, me posting, talking about things in the insurance industry, and people just fall short of that consistency. But if you have those in the vault and you, working on your logo, your brand, your banner, like the whole release of your YouTube should be a whole rollout. And if you treat it like that, you'll be successful. I've helped like 4 people myself get monetized. I'm like, this is exactly what you need to do, the type of videos you need to post. And they're in all different careers, different things on YouTube, but they're all monetized from the things I told them. So it's really one set way to do it, but people think it's so hard, but people just lack consistency.
Yeah, you're talking right to me. I think I got 23 videos.
Please,
my check.
Everybody listening to the podcast, don't do like the Scratch Agency podcast does and record today and then post on Monday, because it's the worst. Like when Steven and I are backed up, it's a terrible feeling having to like, oh crap, we got to get an extra 2 episodes. Oh yeah, no. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. Yeah. Like even I'm building out that niche right now, Steven. I did 4 videos yesterday, 3 videos today, and I'm like, man, I just got to keep doing 3, 4. This way I'm so far ahead. And like you said, Kenny, if something comes up, there's not an excuse on why I missed that day or whatever,
Exactly. And then do you guys post just once a week, or how many are you posting a week?
We do 1 episode. We post 1 episode on the podcast a week. We've been consistent with that for almost 50 episodes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. How I look at it is like, it's 52 weeks in a year, 1 episode a week. That's 52 videos. So, once a month or once a quarter, I'm laying out all that content and just scheduling it. And that's kind of just how I do and how it's like really helped me. Because once you really sit down, it's draining, but once you sit down and really do that content, you don't have to worry about it for another 10 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Hey, the scheduling's the best. I just started using that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Sean. He does all all of the pretty stuff on this. I don't even know why I'm still here and why he invites me back every week, but that's all right. I'll take that. I'll take those invites every week from him. Hey, Kenny, one last question before our last question here. And I don't think I've asked anybody this on the podcast before, but I'm really, really just curious to hear your response because of how inspiring you've been in this conversation. What is Kenny J's why?
Wow, that's a good question. My why is I want to be a multi-millionaire mogul in the front of Forbes. Like, I don't know. I just want to help as many people as possible as well. I feel like a lot of people, when they get to that level, they kind of just, it's a cutoff and they don't come back and try to help people getting started in their industry. So I want to like be that mogul, but also be someone that is helping people to get to that same level as me. And I want to be able to just take care of like my friends. My parents are both millionaires, so I mean, I don't need to take care of them. But like my friends and just people that I see that aren't doing as well in life. My biggest thing is to help. Like I have a servant's heart, and I just want to, help as many people as possible because everybody doesn't really get a fair shot at life. You know what I mean? Things come up. They may get sick or they have lost their income or what have you. And I just want to be that change in different people's lives.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's a great response. And I want to just point out again what he said is I want to be on the cover of Forbes and immediately said after about helping people, right? Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic. Kenny, as we look to wrap this up, we ask everybody the same question. So this one won't be as much of a surprise as that last one. But if you tomorrow morning were to wake up and start over from zero, no remedy, you're starting over in the insurance space tomorrow morning. At this point in your career, what is something that you would do differently?
I would market more like nobody's business. I would be at these networking events. I didn't start networking until like 6 months in. I would be at these events. I would be talking to everyone I can about insurance and not feeling ashamed. Like I don't want to bother them. Who cares? They're either going to say yes or no. You know what I mean? And just being more aggressive with it. I think at the beginning I was a little timid and I don't know, like I'm new in this, but I have a great team of underwriters, of processors, of people that really know this industry has been in it 20, 30 years. So just being more confident in the beginning and just talking to anyone that would listen about insurance, I believe, be a lot further than what I am now.
Great answer. Well, Kenny, thank you again very much for taking the time. It was a really inspiring conversation. I'm super thankful to be able to have 45 minutes with you here and get to meet you and look forward to connecting further. For people that want to jump on and check out your YouTube channel, or just follow you in general, what's the best place to do that? How can they get in touch with you if they have any questions? How can they connect?
Yeah. So YouTube and Instagram is Kenny J TV, all one word. And they can really DM me on there. I'll get back to it. I have a lot of requests, but I'll not see them come through. And even on my Instagram, you can go right to my company website and you can like fill out a contact form there and it'll come right to my email and I'll be able to see it there. Those are pretty much the best ways. I can't even get through all the comments on YouTube. So I'm not going to even say comment on my YouTube. I have like 200 comments right now behind on, and it's getting harder and harder to keep up with. So probably Instagram is going to be the best way.
Very cool. Well,
it's
thank
a good
you
problem
again.
to have.
Yeah, it is a good problem. It is a good problem. Kenny, thanks again. We really do appreciate it. One last thing before we wrap this up. If you're listening to this podcast, do us a favor. We just have recently released our website, scratchagencypodcast.com. I needed to correct myself in a couple prior episodes. I said the scratchagencypodcast.com. It is scratchagencypodcast.com. Here's the cool thing I want to touch on. On the top of the header, there's an orange button that says join our Scratch community. We've created a Telegram chat. For those of you who don't know what Telegram is, it is, in my opinion, a better version of Slack. I think we've got about 15 people on there now. It's a big group chat of Scratch agents or established agents or whatever. And just, I don't know, Sean, you can touch on this real briefly, but what's happened in there already in the last couple of weeks has been really cool. Hey, I got this issue. Is anybody running into this? So please do us a favor. Go to the website, join the Scratch community. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not selling you anything. We just want a place to connect with other like-minded people and learn and grow there. So really appreciate you doing that. Everybody, that is another episode of the Scratch Agency Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show, share the show, and subscribe. Most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and own your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.